most new traders never make it past a couple years because they don't realize what those first few years of trading are. They're just data collection. Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading, and in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets, but we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us.
Hello and welcome to the Anarchy Trading Podcast. Today we've got an interesting subject. I haven't even told Levi what it is about because I wanted to get his genuine reactions
I'm on
to
the
the
edge of my
question.
seat.
Exactly. But before we get to that, how are you, Levi? It's been a little while. I mean, we've moved the podcast to once a week, so we don't talk quite as much because we've both been super busy. But how are things? What's up?
Things are great, man. Things are great. Next week we're in a few days. Wife and I and sister-in-laws are going out to Spain for like 3 weeks. So that'll be fun.
Ooh.
Gonna see the area. We're planning on moving out there next year, just for a year, to see the sights and to kind of do the expat life for a year or so. So we're going out there now. We're doing a small vacation to kind of scope it out and see what's up. And so anyway, that'll be fun going out to Spain. I've been trying to learn Spanish for a while because she speaks Spanish. I do not. And so we were thinking of places to go, and Spain seemed fun. And so I'm
¿Dónde
going to try to
está el
learn Spain out
baño?
there. That's right. That's right.
It's
That's
my
about
only
all I know.
Spanish. It's the only Spanish I know.
That's about all I got too. So hopefully I'm going to
Mrs.
learn
Barnett, my Spanish teacher from fifth grade, would be
Wow.
horribly disappointed in me.
Good grief. That takes me a lot. That takes me back. But anyway, yeah. So doing well. It's been I've been doing well. The last week of trading has been slow. Trying to kind of just slowly get myself back from kind of the big last couple of weeks where I did poorly. So now I'm back. So
Nice.
tell me about what the topic is. You said you didn't want to tell me about it and just kind of spring it. So
Yeah.
what do you got?
Yeah. So here's my question for you. Let's say you're doing really sucky at trading. Um, you can maybe speak from experience. You're doing really bad. You've lost 17 trades in a row. And I'm bringing this up now because I was actually talking to a guy this last week. We were doing some kind of review of his trading journal and stuff. And he floated the idea to me. He's like, I've lost like 18 trades in a row. He's like, I'm just going to reverse my strategy and do opposite of what I've been doing. What's your
Hmm.
take on that?
My take, because I've thought about this before, and obviously I've had experience with like really big, dramatic losing streaks. My take is that it's impossible to actually do. Yes, if it was technically possible, um, if it was possible to do, I think it would be you could do it. But for one, I don't think it's possible because if you actually it's a big gray area and there's a lot of subconscious involved, right? Of trying to figure out what's good or bad. A lot of it's feel based, right? So if you've lost a ton of trades in a row, then your feel is wrong. Something is wrong there. Maybe your psychology got in the way, maybe fear, greed, whatever. You haven't slept enough, slept enough at night. You fought with your spouse, whatever, right? Something's gotten in the way of that. So to go, well, I'm going to still have the same feel. I'm just going to consciously switch it. I don't think it's possible. I think you would end up still losing because I don't think you'd be taking the exact same trades. Yeah, hindsight 2020, you could go back and switch those trades and make all those, make money. But, you know, going forward, is that possible? I don't think it is. I
I
don't
fully
know.
agree with you. I wanted to get your hot take on it because I thought it was a fun thing to talk about because this is
Yeah.
something that you hear floated around in the noob world, right? But there is actually some real world implications to it, right? Because we know for a fact that brokerages that let's say, are less than ethical, especially the overseas brokerages that don't have regulation over them, will actually take opposite bets of new traders because they know new traders always what? They always lose. So they
Yeah.
know if they take opposite of those traders, they're going to make money, right? And but the fact is, I agree with you. I do not think that as a person, it's a viable option because what you're trying to tell me, and let's look at this, is okay, I'm trading. Let's say I trade support and resistance. I see, and I trade breakout and retest. So there's a breakout, retest, I enter a trade, it goes against me, I lose. I was going long. Let's say it broke out long, comes back down. I take it on the pullback and I go long, but it goes short. Okay, let's say then I do that 18 times in a row. Some of those aren't great trades, and I want to take them back because I entered too early or I entered too late, but I want to get those back. So you're telling me that your strategy now is I'm going to trade breakout and retest, but then I go in the opposite direction that my brain is telling me, like it just doesn't make sense. And it's a horrible strategy because it's not a strategy. It's saying I'm going to do the opposite of what my brain is telling me. When my brain tells me go long, I'm going to consciously say, nope, I'm going short. And that it's like essentially removing your brain from it.
Yeah, so it's on one hand, I don't think it's possible to actually do in any accurate way, but on the other, like you said, it's actively damaging. If you try to do that, you're leaving your strategy and you're trying to actively fight against your strategy. Now, the thing you can do, you can absolutely do something similar, just it's less stupid, which is just don't take the trade, right? Like if you've been losing a bunch of trades and you now see a trade that you would normally take long, maybe don't take that trade for just a little bit and do some live kind of testing and kind of see whether you can kind of come back and realize, what you're missing here. Because what you want to do is you want to eventually get to the point where you've lost 15 trades in a row and now you can go back and look at that and you can go, okay, those type of trades maybe I'll avoid in the future. You can't always do that. Like you're sometimes luck is involved, but when you've lost a ton of trades in a row, it's not luck, it's you. And so what I would do if I'm this trader, if I've lost a ton of trades in a row, speaking from experience, um, my advice would be look at those trades and then be avoiding those trades in the future. My most helpful bit of advice here would be just ask yourself, and I've mentioned this question before you take a trade, ask yourself, if I lose this trade, will I go, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I lost that trade because it was a stupid trade. That's a really like eye-opening question that keeps me from bad trades a lot because if I take a trade and I lose it and when you before you take a trade, if you take a trade, ask yourself, if I lose this, will I go, yeah, I shouldn't have taken that trade? And if the answer is yes, then don't take the trade. That is kind of doing a similar thing, but in a wise, constructive way, right? You're kind of preempting that question. You're not trying to reverse your trade, you reverse your strategy. You're trying to push through when you're trying to learn a strategy, you're going to suck. I mean, you're going to be really bad, right? And so if you don't allow that to happen, you're never going to get better at it.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think what you brought up a little earlier is super important. The fact about waiting, right? Because there's one, don't try to reverse your strategy because that's not a strategy, right? That's just called like, I don't know, winging a prayer. But there is, and you and I were mentioning this actually on one of the rare times that we have live traded over the last couple months. I think we've traded. We were mentioning the fact to each other that we've noticed a huge difference in just waiting 30 seconds before entering a trade, right? And that's even on, we trade 1 minute candles, right? And just waiting an extra 30 seconds, you go, yeah, great place to enter. But just take 20 seconds. Now, sometimes those trades are going to leave you, but a lot of times, those 20 seconds, you're going to go, oh, wait. Yeah, I'm not seeing that exactly. Let me just wait another 20 seconds. And sometimes then you'll enter, but sometimes you won't. That little pause saying, okay, I want to enter. Let's give it 20 seconds. Let's see what happens with this candle. Makes a huge difference in the amount of trades that you're actually it's going to keep you out of a ridiculous amount of trades.
Yeah, my tendency is to want to try to get a real tight stop loss and take trades early before they've really broken in my direction. And sometimes that works out, sometimes that doesn't. But yeah, my advice to a newer trader who's taken a lot of losses, even intermediate to advanced traders, if you've taken a bunch of losses, um, take a little bit of time. Don't try to reverse the strategy. It's an awful idea. If you could, then it would work, but you can't. Also, it ruins your data collection because at this point you're collecting data. And most beginning traders don't understand that. And that's why they never make it. Most new traders never make it past a couple years because they don't realize what those first few years of trading are. They're just data collection, right? The way Tesla is making their full self-driving cars, they're not quite there, but dang, they're real close, closer than anybody else is they just collect a ton of data. All Teslas everywhere are constantly taking video, and then this massive, ungodly abomination of an AI machine is sifting through that and learning from it. And that's all they're doing. And they just collect. And that data just builds and builds and builds this more and more accurate model. And eventually that's going to get better than human drivers. It just is. We're going to reach that point very shortly. And that's what you're doing early in the trading process. You're not going to win. You just haven't collected enough data. The first few years are just data collections. So if you lose 15 trades in a row, we've mentioned this before. That's actually really useful information. Like breaking even is not very useful information. It's noise. A monkey sitting in front of a computer breaks even. Losing 17 times in a row is real impressive. And you can gain some really valuable insights from that. So don't freak out. Use this as a from a data collection standpoint and make those 17 trades in a row count.
Yeah, exactly. And again, learn from the markets, learn from your mistakes. Maybe you need to tweak your strategy. Maybe you can identify you're entering in too early, you're entering in too late, your stop losses are too tight, like everything that we've gone through before. But don't just go, yeah, I'm just going to reverse my strat. That is the number one noob mistake. Essentially, you're just saying, I'm going to change my strategy again. You can't change your strategy because, as you said, I think it'd be like Tesla. Like they get all of this data and they go, yeah, this sucks. We're going to start over. And they erase their servers. What do they have? They now have cars that don't drive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the really useful thing of losses is that that's where you learn. You don't learn from wins. Like I promise you, a completely new trader can take the exact same wins you and I do. Uh, you don't learn anything from wins. You learn something from 17 trades in a row that you lose. That can be really useful information to learn from. So yeah, don't be afraid of those. Don't try to switch things around. I know every new trader is tempted, especially when you have a lot of losses in a row, to just go, well, let me just turn it around and I'll just reverse it and see what happens. And I think you're going to be actively hurting yourself there.
Yeah. So just go back, take a look at your journal. That's what your journal's for. Sit down with a friend, learn from those mistakes. Maybe you need to tweak it. Maybe it's just a bad month in the market. Maybe it's just you were having a bad month. Maybe either way, look at the things. But number one, yeah, the myth that, oh, I can just take the opposite trades is busted in our opinion. And yeah, not a valid strategy.
Yeah, and let me just add something on real quick there because you reminded me of it. The market behaves differently at different times, and this is something that a lot of beginner traders don't understand. And even it's really frustrating because you'll be doing really good, and you feel like you're doing all the same things, and all of a sudden you start losing. The fact is, the market behavior changes depending on what's happening, depending on whether it's at all-time highs, whether it's all-time, whether it's at local lows, whether the market is surging, whether it's consolidating. We're talking, week long structures, right? When the market's doing different things, your strategy is going to either work or it's going to not, or it's going to actively hurt you. And so the difference between a good and bad trader, it's fairly easy for a beginner trader to be profitable in a specific market scenario. But the
Let's just
fact is
say
the
if
market,
it's trending up, it's
yeah,
pretty easy. Just take longs every day and swing
yeah.
trade it.
Exactly, right? So, it's fairly easy, but the fact is, the market goes through a ton of different looks, a ton of different situations, and sometimes your strategy is going to be bad. And so, an advanced trader, an actual profitable trader, has just watched enough and had enough experience in the market that they can notice when they start taking a few losses and go, wait a second, wait, let me hold off. And this is what I should have done a few weeks back when my losing streak happened, if I was actually smart and if I was truly, an advanced trader, which was I would have seen those few losses and gone, wait a second, something's going wrong here, and I would have paper traded for a few days, tested stuff out, made sure things were still good. And if I noticed things were still bad and I wasn't doing well, I would have readjusted and waited until I was winning again. That's what a really good advanced trader does, because your strategy only works sometimes, and you're going to have to adjust, and you're going to have to, and not by that I don't mean just switching strategies, but being able to understand when your strategy works, what needs to happen, what looks to avoid. So yeah, I think that's a huge part that a lot of beginners don't understand. And also going back to the data gathering, that's why you need to trade for a long time typically to be profitable. You have to see a lot of those different experiences on the market.